NHL Nightly with your host, the sports, a.k.a. Peter Lebowski, a.k.a. Jeremiah Maxwell. And with him, as always, maybe Pearlo, Wisdom, and Rico and Barry.
Hey, no Rico and Barry, but we got Occupancy and Mike, the Degenerate Bostonian. I like that better. I don't know if you think of that. I think the Degenerate Bostonian feels very much like a 1960s Disney movie, with, Kathleen O'Hara, the Degenerate Bostonian, Anyway,
for it.
I wax poetic about those old movies. Shout out The Parent Trap, the original one with Haley Mills, Catherine O'Hara, and Brian Keith. Great freaking movie. I love that movie. The original Parent Trap, the one with the kid who's a full-on adult herself now, is not a bad movie. I can't think of her name, but she was a train wreck for a while.
Lohan.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, poor girl. That's what happens to some of these kids that grow up in the spotlight, though, right?
But wasn't Jamie Lee Curtis in the new one too? Or is that something that maybe that's something
I love
else?
her. Yeah. No, that's Freaky Friday. That's also a Haley Mills movie. That movie's awesome too. The Freaky Friday movie is a great movie with Jamie Lee. Anyway, shout out Jamie Lee. Anyway, hey, welcome to NHL Nightly Playoff Edition, Eastern Conference Finals Edition. I have myself here in Alaska. There's no snow on the ground, so that's good. Pearlo Wisdom in Edmonton. Steve Duncan, one of the best handicappers out there. Mike, the Degenerate Bostonian. Mike coming to us live from Milwaukee. And Occupancy, soon to not be calling California home, but going to be in the silver medal Swiss, right? Swiss took silver at the Worlds, losing to Czechia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're moving to the silver medal country. No more of this lousy USA hockey. Teams all the way. Let's go. Matt Zuccarello. Kevin Fiala, right? There's a couple guys pretty nasty.
He's here. Got a good group out there.
He's here, dude. What a great okay. Okay, so we haven't talked since before these finals. No, we did talk before these. We talked last week, me and Pearlo, and we discussed. I thought Dallas. I thought Florida. I mean, I'll tell you, the Rangers, man, they're starting to make me come around. That they might win this series. Anybody change their mind on what they liked for the finals? Mike, let's start with you because we didn't really get to hear your picks. You weren't with us. Commercial travel and alike. You didn't get to really give your Eastern Conference picks, so why don't you recap what you had and we'll call it. And then tell me how you are feeling about those picks.
My Eastern Conference going into this, I thought the Rangers would overpower them. That has been wrong. That has been very, very wrong. But I thought they had more firepower. I thought Kempe would be a decent impact. I guess he's done enough with his 6 minutes a game, but I thought they'd be a lot better. I think they haven't looked too hot. They're looking good tonight, though they're losing. But I thought for sure Rangers in 6. As soon as Dallas knocked out Colorado, I did take Dallas to win the whole thing. So, but I thought, we were looking at Rangers Stars. That was kind of my thing going into this. Certainly got cold feet despite them being up 2-1.
Yes, so you took Dallas after they beat Colorado, you're saying?
Yeah, it was plus 245. I'm like, yeah.
That was a good price. Yeah.
Yeah, like I felt happy with it. I figured I didn't at that time, I think it was 3-2 Vancouver Edmonton. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I wasn't buying into Edmonton's goaltending. Still am not buying into Edmonton's goaltending. Like Dallas can get through that. Vancouver, God knows what's going on with them in the net. So I hope everyone gets healthy there.
I saw an interesting graphic on on Dallas. I mean, between Pavelski, Ben, and Suter, they got like over 3,000 games played, without a cup. So I mean, they really got
the only other guy on that list, we talked about this last week, was Blake Wheeler, who laced
Right.
him up tonight for the Rangers. Yeah, so
Yeah.
many games played. Yeah. So if we get one of those two teams winning the cup, it'd be good. Also, like guys like Okposo on the Florida, it'd be nice to see that guy raise a cup. So yeah, Andrew wants the Rangers. Rico will be with us, like I said, later. So Mike, thank you for giving us your picks. Sorry I had to change the Hockey Night in Canada shirt. Was not working. I think one of my dogs peed on it or something. It smelled really bad, so I had to jettison that thing. I was like, I can't do the show smelling like dog pee, even though you guys don't know, because it was driving me nuts. And I have my military superpower was I had a very poor sense of smell, which is a good thing. So the fact that I noticed it means it was probably awful. So, okay, Pearlo, who are you liking? Anything change your mind on what you like?
No, I'm still sticking with Florida. I think the top 9 forward group that they have 2A is going to end up winning over here. I got to say, I was impressed with that Rangers win. And Shesterkin is awesome, but I think overall, I think Florida will take. I still say Florida. I had Florida in 6 and Florida in 7 at plus 350 and plus 500. So I'm sticking with it.
What about? Let's go right into Edmonton, Dallas. What about Edmonton, Dallas?
Oh man, Dallas turned it on in that last game though. Like man, oh man, did they ever turn it on? Like you were saying that Skinner isn't the guy, and he has breakdowns, and you just can't have breakdowns in the playoffs. It's hard for me to back Edmonton now. I think that Dallas will eventually pull that out, and we'll have Dallas, Florida. And in that series, oh man, that's going to be one hell of a series. I have to think about that a little bit more. But Edmonton is having too many breakdowns, and the goaltending department and just mental department. Like that 3 minutes. Like where the hell were they? They were just scrambling all over the place. I guess you got to give DeBoer a lot of credit to find the spot where they put the pressure on, and Edmonton didn't know what the hell was going on. So it's hard to back them to win the series.
Yeah, Mike, what are your thoughts on that series?
I hate I've been saying this for the last couple of years. I hate Edmonton's goaltending. I hate their back end. I think they have a great top pair. And I think their goaltending is actually over.
Ekholm and Bouchard.
Yeah, I think they're great. I'm not knocking them, but I mean, you can't play 2 defensemen all game. I think their goaltending is actually overachieving. I had them in like an 8-8 when I placed my Dallas future bet, and I think they're at like a 9-1. So they're doing better than I thought they would. But I still don't think that's good enough to win. I've the last couple of years, I really have hated their back end and goaltending. And I think that's the reason they haven't won a cup. You can't rely on McJesus to score 6 goals, 7 goals a series. It's
Have you guys been seeing those Twitter memes where they're not real, but it's like McDavid saying, "I'm the greatest. These people suck." Darnell Nurse, are you fucking kidding me? Like it just goes through this whole thing. He goes, "I'm gonna go to Toronto in 4 years and fucking win like 3 Stanley Cups in a row and shit all over Edmonton." It's the funniest shit I've seen. I don't know what. The score is 2-1. Sod. I probably forgot to update the score for tonight's game, but the score is 2-1 Florida going into the third. Thank you for reminding me to light it up. So anyway, anyway, I love those memes. Shout out those memes. Occupancy, did you get to say a lot about this this Edmonton Dallas series? You feel like
No, I don't have too much to add. I mean, I took a flyer, picking Edmonton. Me and Pearlo were talking last night, and they had that 2-0 lead. I thought maybe they were going to come out, but look, you can't just take a lead like that and sit on it. And I think Robertson's second or third goal, and Skinner wasn't hugging the post, and can't let that happen. It's just kind of inexcusable there, and Dallas is just tough. I mean, they're tough up and down the line. Every player you look on, is just tough, and I don't know. They just may outmuscle Edmonton when it comes down to it. To be honest, that's really what I got for that one.
I have a question for Pearlo, because Pearlo, how closely did you watch the game yesterday?
Pretty close, I guess. I mean,
okay, yeah, no, I good. I just if you would have said no, you're busy, you had to work or whatever, I wouldn't ask you this question.
No, I was watching. Yeah.
Okay, how much of a difference did you notice with the Dallas Stars having Rupe Hintz back?
Well, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, Ropo Hintz, that's his actual name is Ropo, but people call him Rope. But okay, so Rope Hintz, he's not an elite defensive forward, but he gets her done not too bad. But he gives them a option that without him, you got rookies like what you have two rookies on Sagan. It has to play on the top line.
You talking about Stankoven and
Duchesne and Stankoven. You got rookies that are playing higher minutes than they're probably supposed to. You got Sagan and Duchesne playing on the top lines, and they can't shut anybody down. So they're playing pure offensive hockey. At least Ropo will, do a much better job than either one of them. And it gives them a kind of depth that you're not going to find. And he's a playmaker, which you don't, a very good playmaker. It's really changes the whole dynamic of the Stars with Hinson in there on the top line. So, yeah, it's absolutely huge. And he played really good considering he hadn't played for quite a while. It almost looked like he didn't miss a step.
I think it was only about a week, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's quite a long time going into playoff hockey in the middle
he missed half of the was it who'd they play in the second round?
Avs.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Dallas. Yeah, he missed half of that series, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was out. He was out for a bit.
And they walked the Avs, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like they exposed the Avs as a one-line hockey team. So I don't. I'll say this. I said Dallas. I'm not changing. I said Florida. I'm not changing. I think the only reason this series is. I'll say this, guys. I've never seen a team get dominated so badly, but squeeze out the win in the last game. I thought Florida straight dominated for 2, 3, and the good portion of the overtime. And then it was like, wow, Shesterkin bailed them out. I was watching the game with my wife, and I'm like, you guys are not going to win this game. And she's like, I know, shut up. But it was like, and then when they won, she was like, she almost didn't even know how to celebrate it because it was like, she just expected the Rangers to lose the game. They looked awful. And then the Rangers came out in the first period, and I'm like, dude, I was going to show up to the stream in a Rangers jersey and be like, dude, this just like the moon, the blah, all the stuff that's lining up with 94, the overtime goal from a guy who had like a goal. They were comparing the Mateau thing. I know they always want to draw from the past. But like again, like that was a conference finals that he scored the goal, the overtime winner. It's like, okay, they're in a conference finals. Like now you're starting to think like, man, maybe just the Rangers are a team of destiny. Because they're not getting anything from Panarin much. Now give Florida credit. Their top line is going to shut out with Barkov and stuff. You're just going to have, it's always a war of attrition. Everybody knows really since the 2-line offside pass, it's the second and third lines that win you Stanley Cups. The top lines cancel each other out. And you don't care if you have, God or Jesus or Buddha, Yahweh, whatever on the blue line, it's always going to equal out. So we're back in the Florida is 1854 left in the first
There we
20,
go.
25
Yes.
shots. What?
Oh no, it wasn't a goal. Never mind. Never wasn't a goal.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Ranger fans would like to see Shesterkin play the puck last. I'll say that. Just let the defenseman come back and get it. But again, with Florida's forecheck, I understand why they're trying to.
Lindy's out.
That must be what you're talking about there, Pearlo. That was a pretty high scoring chance from Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah, it looked like it actually went in.
Have they reviewed it? Oh, Charlie Lindgren blocked a puck. He looks like he's heading to the locker room. Charlie Lindgren at this point is made from bags of ice. He took a check along the boards there from Reinhardt. Clean check. Nothing dirty about it, but it looks like, oh, man, that would be brutal for the Rangers, man. He is definitely one of their best defensive players. And obviously a defenseman. So, by the way, Andrew said Skinner is great. I thought Skinner has played well for the Oilers. I don't think you could solely blame the losses on Skinner. Just Dallas is deep, man. I kept saying, like, Edmonton played a really cakewalk schedule. In the NFL, they do strengths of schedule. I would love to see what the Oilers' strength of schedule was. Because, look, and even I and Pearlo can tell you this, I thought Seattle was going to be way better than they were. I thought Anaheim was going to be better longer. They started off the season great, then injuries just caught up with them. They weren't that good. Obviously, San Jose was a doormat. We know that. And yet Edmonton lost to them this year. So, again, I just thought, yeah, okay, this is the team that lost 15 of their first whatever. They lost, and then they went on that run. But I said, if you look at the teams they beat like 2 playoff teams in that run. Like, it wasn't that. It was like, okay, but it was just, it's just one of those stretches where you play bad teams. And if you catch a bad team on a bad night, you're going to win, especially if you have Draisaitl and McDavid, But I felt like if they had played, this is my opinion, and I want to ask you guys this question. If the Vegas Golden Knights had played the Edmonton Oilers in the first round, is Edmonton out in the first round? Because I think they are.
If what? Sorry?
If Vegas plays Edmonton in the first round instead of LA, I think Vegas beats Edmonton. Vegas team took this Dallas team to 7 games, and this Dallas team is clearly better than Edmonton in every facet of the game, goaltending, defense, and forwards. Yeah, they don't have the McDavid Draisaitl level skill, but it doesn't matter in the playoffs because all that stuff gets evened out with good defense and teams playing positionally sound hockey. So it's very, very hard for skill and ability to overtake a game. So I just firmly believe that if the Vegas Golden Knights would have played the Edmonton Oilers, they would have beat them in the first round.
It would all depend on, like, Dallas did a really good job of compensating and changing their system to the because finally the Oilers started playing the 1-3-1 system the game before that gave them so much success, and Dallas decided to play like.
Why are you mentioning Dallas? I'm saying that the Vegas Golden Knights would have beat the Oilers in the first round.
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Yes or no? No, don't write a fucking book about it. Just tell us what you think.
I'm going to get to that. If Edmonton played that 1-3-1 system against Vegas perfectly, the way they did before, I think they might win that series, but it would go 7 games. But I don't know why they keep on going back to this man-on-man bullshit, because they don't win when they play man-on-man. I don't know why they keep on doing it, but they do it. So that's your answer. It depends
Mike,
on
what do you think? Do you think Vegas would have beat? Do you think Vegas would have beat this
5.
Edmonton?
Vegas and 5.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the over's hitting every game.
Yeah. What about you, Occupancy?
I think it would have went 7. I don't know. I kind of agree that if Edmonton had played, we got another goal here, boys.
Yeah, Rangers just tied it up. I didn't want to cut you off, but I think Alexei Lafreniere, who's been on fire,
when he's getting his toe dragged down, I mean, he's looking good.
What a tip!
Yeah, he's been on fire again. I'm telling you, man. Like, I'll stick with Florida, but
right?
If the Rangers win this game, Florida's done. Because Bobrovsky's in there, or Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky's not giving him good enough goaltending to match Shesterkin. Now, tonight he's playing fine. But, like, now are they reviewing this?
I was an
I'm ahead of you guys. Sorry.
But
you're fine. Yeah, I saw it, but I just didn't want to cut you off, Occupancy.
I appreciate that. My bad. I mean, no, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say that matchup because I mean, look, what did Vegas won the first two, right? In Dallas, right? And then Dallas had to kind of come out of the hole, right? So I think, I mean, look, if Vegas had come out strong and gone up to, I don't know if Edmonton could have came back the way Dallas did. I could say that.
If Vegas goes up 2-0 on the Edmonton Oilers, it's over in 5. I'm not sure they don't get swept, like Mike said.
Would Edmonton on game 1? Because would Edmonton have had home advantage? I think on that one.
Yeah.
So they would have. Yeah. So they would have had. I think Edmonton would have won game 1. Edmonton in their barn on like game 3. I mean,
they're really bad in game 1s. This Edmonton terrible.
Yeah. Like, never mind.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
They're almost as bad as Dallas for whatever reason. Dallas is 0-7 in the last, or 0-8 in their last game 1s. But look, if you're winning series, who gives a shit?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I agree. And just to switch back to this Lafreniere thing, I mean, it's great to see him play because, like, people are throwing the bust word around a little bit to him, early in his career, and
he wasn't ready for the NHL. He would have been one of those guys again that I think benefited from playing in the AHL. But and because of that stupid bullshit Ontario hockey or Canadian Hockey League rule, they can't come play AHL. Oh no, he's got to come back. No, he's too good for the Quebec Major Junior League that he was playing in, but he wasn't good enough to play in the NHL, and he should have probably not played 2 years in the NHL. And it would have benefited him. All the pressure in the world on these guys just because he's a number 1 overall. Not everyone's Ovi, Crosby, McDavid, And
right away.
Connor Bedard, man, pretty much second half of this year was pretty vanilla. Like, I don't care how good and generational you are. Like, it happens, man. It happens. Everybody needs. You sent me a link.
Couple of years. I think he was just the guy who needed a couple of years to get used to the league and grow into the game, and that's fine.
Mike sent me the strength of schedule. Was I way off base?
No, 21st in the league.
Yeah, like that's really okay. So is it Guru rank that I clicked there, Mike? I'll show everybody here. Okay, so the Guru rank is no. So the Carolina Hurricanes had the toughest strength of schedule. Okay, opponent average rank. Okay, yeah, they were 29th in opponent average rank. Okay, so again, like they played the only teams that had worse schedules than them. Okay, so am I reading this wrong? No, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so go by the number on the left. That's where they're ranked, and they're
you're
looking at the middle column of opponent ranking.
Yeah, it says rankings. My bad. I was on okay, could I get rid of this? Hold on. Back. Strength of schedule. I feel like if I'm off on this, I apologize. It just felt like to me, at least in that run, and I just feel like if they would have had to play Vegas in the first, and then a healthy Vancouver in the second, because I still think Vancouver wins that series. I think Demko having a healthy Demko and then the Besser situation, I just think that helped them too. And sometimes the path of least resistance is not always the good path, because you end up playing a real good team that's went through iron and beat the last 2 cup champions in the first and second round. And they're like, well, we know what it takes. And we've got guys who I just feel like the want and desire is there. And now, man, like I don't know for you guys, my attention turns to wanting to see the Dallas Stars hoist the Stanley Cup for the reason Occupancy said earlier in the show. Joe Pavelski, Jamie Benn, Ryan Suter. I mean, for me, Joe Pavelski, like just straight legend, national championship in college, like guys scored like 100 playoff goals. It's like ridiculous. His playoff numbers. I just wonder, do we see this guy get a Stanley Cup? He deserves it. I'd love to see him have it. And this could be his last year. So, and I've noticed at times, not as noticeable as old school Joe Pavelski. Time catches up to all of us, man. So, yeah. So, 13 minutes left to go in this game, 2-2. I think Florida has to win this game.
So, strength of schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Winnipeg, Colorado, Boston, Vancouver, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Nashville, Vegas, LA, and Buffalo had easier schedules than Edmonton.
Okay, but how many of those playoff teams?
Vancouver, Boston, Colorado, Winnipeg.
Yeah, decent amount.
Okay.
Nashville, Vegas. Vegas had one of the easiest strengths of schedule in the league. LA was third.
Yeah, remember Vegas went on that big run at the beginning of the year too, man, and they came back to the means. You know what I'm saying? They went on that terrible run.
I'm just saying you're pounding on Edmonton having this strength.
I'm not pounding on them. I'm saying I didn't think they had that strong of schedule. You just proved it to me. They were in the bottom half.
LA had one of the easiest. Vegas had
okay, but they played LA in the playoffs. You're making my point for me even more.
Okay,
it wasn't that good of a team. I'm saying they had an easy ass path in this playoffs. And I do not believe they would have beat Vegas. I think this is, and I think their schedule.
Why would you believe they wouldn't play Vegas when Vegas had one of the almost the easiest schedule?
Right, but I don't. But that Vegas team wasn't that Vegas team the whole year.
Yeah, still,
they didn't have Hannafin the whole year.
Yeah, but your narrative, I disagree with. Just because it's not because Edmonton had the weakest schedule.
I didn't say they had the weakest schedule. I said they had one of the weaker schedules. Might prove that. If they had a bottom half schedule, okay, I just think that when it comes, I didn't think they were remotely close to the best team in the NHL. At one point, they were getting the lowest odds to win the Stanley Cup.
The only reason why they made the playoffs is because Knobloch came in and started playing a 1-3-1 with them. That's the only reason. If they don't do that, they don't make the playoffs. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't close to missing the playoffs. They were a few points off from catching Vancouver.
Yeah, but
for first overall.
They couldn't.
And you know what? I think Nashville would have gave them more problems than LA did, because with with their goaltending, and with the playoff experience on Nashville with McDonough, who played an unbelievable playoff, by the way. Nashville pretty much dominated that Vancouver series. That Vancouver series reminded me of the Leafs Tampa Bay from last year when the Leafs won the series, but I was at the game and Toronto got dominated and they won in overtime. You could hear a pin drop in that place. Everybody was like, what the hell? I was like, what the hell? I was just waiting for Tampa to score. I was like, wow, Tampa's just dominating them. It was ridiculously how bad. But Toronto just hung in. Wall kept saving him. Boom, boom, boom. And then O'Reilly scores a goal. So, yeah, I've seen that goal That was a good goal. I can't blame Bobrovsky on that
Here's
one.
an interesting thing for next year. The hardest schedule was Carolina, but look at the next three: Detroit, New Jersey, and St. Louis.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit and New Jersey. Detroit just barely missed the playoffs.
I mean, all this shit is subjective, right? Because we don't know what those teams are going to look like next year. Anyway, there's always a surprise team. Yeah, you can forecast, okay, this team isn't going to be that good, but you do not know. I mean, how many people thought Vancouver was going to be a playoff team, let alone the best record in the Pacific? I mean, I think everybody thought Edmonton was going to run away with that division. They didn't even win.
I had them as a bubble. I didn't.
I mean, you were generous with that too, and like talking. I didn't have them as a playoff team. I thought Seattle would be a better team than them. That wasn't even close. Seattle wasn't even close to Vancouver this year.
But I wasn't even close when it came to Washington because I thought Washington was going to be ass.
Dude, I thought Washington was going to be terrible.
That's the reason why I say Carberry should have won the freaking Adams.
Yeah, they gave it to Tocchet. I don't hate it. So
that's all right. I still
had me cringing Detroit missing the damn playoffs. That hurt.
Oh, did you have a future on that one?
4 units. Detroit makes the playoffs at plus 260.
They're there, man. They're there. They're not far off. I think they're not far off. I really do. Dylan Larkin got injured for a big stretch this year. Detroit would have been a better playoff team than Detroit and Pittsburgh. I will say this openly. Detroit and Pittsburgh would have been a better playoff team against the Rangers than the Capitals were. The Capitals limped in, man. They weren't winning. They were like a 500 team. They were really struggling at the end there. Injuries were just piling up for them. And I hope TJ Oshie retires, to be quite frank. Anyway, there was that rumor. Okay, let's jump in real quick. We still got 10:24 left. Let's jump into some of the hires. Okay, so Don Waddell leaves the Carolina Hurricanes, takes the Columbus Blue Jacket president of hockey ops and their general manager position. What do we say? Occupancy, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah. Just can I get a reference check on when did Waddell come into Carolina? Has he been there for a while?
It's been 10 years he's been there.
Okay,
now.
So he kind of brought in Aho, Svechnikov. He was kind of the person.
Yeah, I don't know if he drafted Svechnikov. That could have been Ron Francis.
But then all the new guys like Orlov and Burns, and he kind of put them all together.
Yeah, and he's a part of that. And he definitely drafted Seth Jarvis, and that was a good pick. And I think Jack Drury, some of those are his guys. I think they are very much a development team. And they used to have the Charlotte Checkers, but I think they don't have an AHL affiliate now, and that's being worked out. But they were using the Chicago Wolves. So I'm not sure exactly what the thing is there, but yeah.
No, I mean, from that, I think he's got a tough job ahead of him. I mean, I kind of think, the pieces in Columbus are kind of a little dilapidated, if we're going to be honest here. Johnny.
They actually have a really good farm system.
Well, yeah, but look, I'm talking about the cornerstone pieces. You had Line A had to take some time away.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But Fantilli, there's not
great.
Of the top 3 young players out there. I mean, Cooley, Bedard, maybe you take over Fantilli.
Yeah, I mean, Ken Johnson for a good B or C list young player there. I mean, they got a good core. They got the Russian.
They scratched him a lot.
Chinikov, Voronkov, and Marchenko are good as a good second line as any second line, third line, and
David Jiricek, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they got a decent club. I mean, but what can he do to kind of make it better? I think listen, he's been around the league a lot, so maybe he kind of can figure a couple players to slot in and make them a little better, and maybe make them a wild card team next year. So I think it's great for the team overall.
I've got a little caveat to that. I'm hearing we might see a Patrick Laine buyout.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't come off the player assistance thing, they won't have to. They can just leave him on LTIR. Pearlo, what do you think of Waddell going to Columbus? We'll finish off.
Well, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, he's a very wealthy man, by the way. Like very. He's made a whole ton of money on real estate, but he went to Carolina, and apparently, I remember reading an article. He was getting paid $500,000 a year as a general manager in the NHL. So he went there to build his name, and I don't think he went to Columbus for money reasons, but I do think that he wanted more control. That's the reason why he's the president of hockey operations and the general manager. He really wanted to see if he could be the guy to change an organization around. I think he saw it as a challenge, and it's going to really be cool to see if he's able to do that. I mean, they need huge improvements on their defense. Most of their forwards are very skilled guys. They're very young, so he's going to have to add some veterans, I think, there to help him move up or whatever the case may be. I don't really know exactly what he's going to do, but that's where I would think he would lean, because that's what he did in Carolina. When he went to Carolina, right away he added like Williams. He added like really solid veterans to help the young guys along. And I think he'll probably do that in Columbus as well. But their defense needs a lot of work. Like, you can't have Goodbranson in your top four. There's no freaking way. It's really bad. Like,
think of Goodbranson was a high pick by the Florida Panthers, remember? Wasn't he like a second overall or something?
Yeah, but he's not good. I don't care if he was a high pick or whatever.
No, but I'm saying, like, it's been a long time, too, in fairness to Goodbranson. I think he
never was good. Goodbranson never was good, ever.
No,
Never.
but I'm saying, Pearlo, you know this to be true, okay? A young defenseman very rarely comes up and makes an impact right away.
So you think Florida used him too early? I would imagine that had something.
Yes. I mean, he shouldn't have played for like 5 years in the NHL.
Probably not. Yeah, you're probably
right.
Yeah,
and then if he had gotten the time to mature, but they rushed him because he was such a high pick, because Doug Gilmour was his coach. He played for the Kinston Frontenacs. Like, it was, I remember the hype about him, man.
Yeah.
Like, from the States.
Yeah. No, I would totally agree with you there. He definitely was rushed into the league, and that probably hurt him a lot.
Didn't he win a cup, by the way?
And the fact that he actually had the career that he did is, a testament.
Doesn't he have his name on the cup?
What's that?
Didn't Eric Goodbranson win a Stanley Cup?
With who?
Was he on one of those Tampa teams?
No, I don't think so. No, he went from Florida to. Where did he go from Florida?
He was with Vancouver a while.
Pittsburgh,
Vancouver.
Ducks.
Yeah, did he win one with Pittsburgh?
Did he win one with Pittsburgh?
Maybe he did. Google. Maybe he lucked one out with Pittsburgh. Shit, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Maybe he did. Yeah, but you're right, though. I mean, I'm not beating.
But in 2024, 2025, I don't think he's gonna. It's gonna. They're gonna need some other pieces, like Pearlo said. They need some. They need some veterans.
Number one. Well, that's David Urachek, right? You're hoping in 3 to 5 years.
With Werenski, is Werenski walking, or is he staying?
He's a good offensive defenseman.
Are they rushing him too, though? I mean, they're trying not to rush him, but
they played him a lot in the AHL this year. In fact, it was kind of a source of disconcert. I read a lot of Aaron Portzline, who covers the Columbus Blue Jackets, because they were the most intriguing team to me this year, because I thought they would be much better. And they did not play him. They kept moving him up and down in the AHL. And there was Frank Saravelli talked openly about this, where he didn't understand. They had told the kid, hey, you'll be in the NHL, buy the apartment or whatever this is like an apartment. You're not going to be sent down. And then, like, within a week, he was sent down. Like, they did some real poor. They're really internally got some issues there. I firmly believe Don Waddell should get rid of Pascal Vincent right away. They should bring in a coach, a Woodcroft. There's a lot of good coaches that deserve a second chance, or a new coach. Bring in this. I keep hearing this John Gruden's name. He coaches in the Marlies. Like, bring these guys up, man. Like, there's tons of good AHL. By the way, good smooth transition. 6:44 left to go, still 2-2. Probably going to go to overtime. Going to guess overtime here. But Florida needs to win this, or it's going to be 3-1 Rangers. Transition into new coaching hires. Homeboy keeps his job in LA, the interim. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name. And the Seattle Kraken hire former Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup champion Dan Bilesma.
You're talking about Hiller. Hiller for LA.
Yes, Hiller. Thank you, Pearlo. I couldn't remember his name. Hiller. What do you guys think? Go ahead, Pearlo. Why don't you just kick it off? What do you think of the Hiller hire? And what do you think about Bilesma? Before you jump on Hiller, let's hold on. Hiller did not change the system. He kept Todd McClellan stuff in place because he was assistant coach. Yeah. I do not think the Kings are going to come back with that style of play.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
You guys just go in a circle and let me know who thinks what. Okay.
I'll just talk about the Bilesma signing. Bilesma is basically like Ken Hitchcock. He is very scheduled. He's very X's and O's. At least that's what he was. I mean, that was back in 2000 when he won a cup in 2009 or something with the Pittsburgh Penguins, or 2007 or something 09. Like that.
It was
09. Yeah, it was back then. And there was a lot of players that said that he was very difficult to play for because it was almost, he was a perfectionist, and you had to turn this way, and he had everything going, and he was very in practices, they did the same drills to get everybody going the right way all the time. And he ended up burning out players. And it was the same in Buffalo. I think he went to Buffalo after that. But I have a feeling that he's probably laid off that now. I think that's a really interesting signing because he's like the Sutter. He's like Sutter. But he probably has softened himself to realize that you can encourage people to do the right things without being a dictator. That's really what he was. He was a dictator. So I imagine he softened himself, but he's still going to have that defensive structure. And Francis, of course, was one of the greatest defensive forwards of all time. He believes in defense. His teams are going to be defense driven, no doubt about it. So I'm not surprised he hired him, but I'm really interested to see how he changes his approach to get his system that works effectively in this modern era. I really love that. I can't say I love the signing. I'm just really interested in that signing for sure.
Well said, Mike. What are your thoughts?
I think he's got an easy road ahead of him. I'm going with Hiller at the Kings here for a sec. Reason I say easy is I love the draft picks he already has. Just being a college hockey nut, I see a lot. They've got 6 guys that were in the top 10 for Hockey East this past season that are all defensemen coming up. And I think when you have 6 massive prospects coming in, it's up to your GM not to screw it up. But I think as a coach, you don't have to do too much. And I think any way to win, you build from the back end out. They made the playoffs this year. They obviously weren't bad because they made the playoffs. I think it's an easier stretch coming in. Going on to Seattle, I hate their draft picks they've got coming in. I think he's got a mountain to climb, and I wish him the best. But I don't have too much to say other than I think he's screwed.
Really?
The draft picks that I know of, I've seen 11 so far. I like none of them. Absolutely none of them.
For Seattle?
Yeah, I've only he's stuck in New England area seeing those draft picks play. But the 11 I got to see in college this past season, all of them I went, all right, cool, he's drafted, like whatever. None of them made me go, wow, that kid had talent. It was just it was a nice shot, et cetera. Nothing made me go, wow. LA's drafted 6 of the biggest defensemen. I didn't even know you can make a human this big. And 5 of them have a lot of talent.
Yeah, well said, guys. Andrew, thanks for joining. Said you're heading out. Thanks for coming in. Look, Hiller, believe he was with McClellan for a while. I think LA is a tough team. I think they got to go out and get some goaltending. But if Hiller's been around, it's not, maybe not that big of an adjustment, for some of these new coaches in Seattle. I saw the couple stats on how do you pronounce it? Basilma? How do you even know? Bilesma. He was the fastest coach to 200 wins. I think he won the Adams, I think.
Yeah.
And look, granted, he walked into a great team, Crosby in his prime and Malkin and Letang and, and they were playing tough teams. I remember, that was when, that Detroit team was tough and, you had all them going. And I remember those kind of games were great. Some really good matchups. I think, didn't Pittsburgh beat, was that the Detroit-Pittsburgh series?
Yeah, they beat Hossa and then Hossa switched sides and Detroit beat them. Somehow Hossa lost two cups in a row, one with and one against Pittsburgh.
Mike, I was thinking Tarasenko right when you said that because he's now flipped on. He loses with New York, and now is he going to lose with Florida? We'll see. But
Perry did it 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I know. A couple guys like they come in, they try to ride the hot team, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think Seattle, I was wondering what their strength of schedule was when we were going over it, because they're really disappointing. I mean, they have some good pieces, but man, they look terrible towards the end of the year. I mean, they really did not look good. And, he might have to kind of come in and not have like this top group like he did with Pittsburgh, and just finishing up Beard on the new coaches for Seattle and LA here, and just talking about a little bit of Dan's accomplishments here and in his past here, and look, he's got to get these guys going like they did 2 years ago when they beat Colorado here in the playoffs there. So I think he can kind of have an impact, and hopefully at least put him to a wild card team, at least in the hunt. So.
Yeah, quick update. 3:32 left. Still 2-2. I saw Colby Cohen tweeted when I was away that he doesn't think Florida will get another one by Igor because Igor is just shutting the door, huh?
Yeah.
I had him over 29.5 shots, or saves, so that was good.
Well, you're there now because they have 34 shots on goal, and it's nice. So that you got
Pearlo,
that.
Where was that line posted?
Over 29.5 saves?
Yeah, where was that line posted? Was it DraftKings, MGM, Win?
He's in Canada.
Yeah, he's probably got Bet 365 or something.
Bet
365 that way.
I got 365.
Yeah, it was there in 365. Yeah. So to your point, Mike, as far as Seattle and their prospects, out of all their prospects, they only have 3 Americans. They draft Canadians and Europeans. They don't draft very many Americans.
Well, they've only been a team for 3 years, so it's like really kind of ridiculous.
I'm just saying they have drafted. I'm not saying they did it on purpose. I'm just saying that up until now, they haven't taken that many Americans. So he was saying that.
Well, Matty Beniers is their best players in American. So
he was saying that in the college ranks, their prospects are ass, and that would be probably accurate because they didn't really draft a lot of Americans.
Yeah, but college rankings, the guys all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah, but Pearlo, what he's saying is Macklin Celebrini won the Hobey Baker. He's Canadian. I mean, there's plenty of foreigners playing U.S. colleges, man.
It's very
true. Common.
No, I'm just saying
what's going on in Russia now. Like, there's a lot more Russians you're seeing over here.
There are 3 Russian goalies. One just left Hockey East to go to Michigan State. The Michigan State kid next year, watch out for him. That kid's a force.
Yeah,
I feel horrible for him. But
I totally think in the future that I totally think in the future the college system will be the system.
I agree.
I totally.
I think it's not going to hurt the OHL though, Pearlo, because I just think those kids now will leave the OHL early, 18.
Oh, yeah.
So the OHL
Absolutely.
will have them from 16, 17, 18. They'll have them for 3 years still instead of 5. And then they come to U.S. college, and it's going to be better for the game in total because U.S. college gets more eyes on it. And once the U.S. NCAA fixes the U.S. college playoff system, because U.S. college playoff system is dog shit. The fucking higher seed should play home games, and then and tell the Frozen Four, tell the regionals, and then the regionals need to be in like good hockey areas, like Minnesota, Tampa, Boston. Like, give me one from the Southwest that would be a good Arizona,
Colorado,
Denver. They know to Denver because they were the 1 seed. Hosted, 1,100 tickets sold. That's it.
Okay, but no. So Seattle, do Seattle climate.
Yes, I'd be fine with Seattle.
Yeah, do fucking Seattle, do LA, do a big fucking town where you can get 5,000 people in there easy. So I thought, by the way, Mike, and you can tell me otherwise. I thought XL Energy Center was XL Energy Center in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I thought that was better atmosphere than Tampa. I thought there were more hockey fans there. It felt louder. It's the Frozen Four is just like everybody goes. Like I met a ton of Boston University fans. They go every year. They're like, yeah, we're not here half the time, but we go. Of course, Boston College was in force. That leads me to believe North Dakota. There were tons of North Dakota fans because they're so close. Okay, that leads me into the next thing. Will Smith signs with the San Jose Sharks. Shocked?
No.
Looks like we're going to overtime here.
I am. That they were advertising that line was coming back with him, Peralta, and Leonard.
Yeah, I'm really pissed because we could have got Leonard in the playoffs and probably needed him.
Well, also the BU line coming in, assuming Celebrini stays, there's actually a kid coming up that's better than him. That's going to be a freshman at BU next year. And the McDavid kid who's transferred from Merrimack, Capone, is going to play with McDavid at the end of next season. He just transferred, and I was going to be their top line. I'm like, that's going to be a great BU-BC matchup. And now
I've heard Celebrini's coming out.
Pandolfo wants to keep him but Greer wants him, so I think he's going to go. But there was a lot of talk with Pandolfo saying he's going to stay for 2 seasons.
Well, I mean, I don't think it would hurt Celebrini to stay another year in college, to be honest.
I think he's too young to go pro. Like, he's literally going to be turning 18 in less than a month now.
Well, no, he's not too young because he was eligible for the draft. Because if he was too young, he wouldn't have been eligible for the draft.
No, when I say too young, I mean not for eligibility. I think he's just turning 18. Like I think it would benefit him in life to be in college, not.
I agree with that. And I wouldn't. It wouldn't hurt. You only get to go to college once, so why not go? I mean, at least 2 seasons, not bad. And he's still pretty young. So okay. Thoughts on Will Smith, Occupancy, and Pearlo? I don't know if you know who Will Smith is or want to talk about him.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think it's great. I think what he did 2 years in Boston, right? Or is he?
Yeah, Will Smith is. Oh, I thought he. Oh, this
he
was
only
just
did one. He only did one.
He won and done. This was his freshman year.
Yeah, so it's early, and then a quick comment on what you guys were saying with the OHL versus college conversation. I read an article a while back about how they were saying college, the game grows through the college systems. They have better resources for the kids to get stronger, kids to train. Yeah. They got the trainers, they got the weight rooms, they got all this really
just watch. Do yourself a favor and just watch the Spit and Chicklets. They do Boston College. They do North Dakota. North Dakota's shit looked like NASA. I was like, this is for fucking college hockey.
Yeah.
They had a fucking room the size of my house that was an altitude room with I'm just telling you, our listeners, everybody, do yourself a favor after the stream, Pearlo, everybody, and you go, there are NHL teams that don't have shit this night. I think the arena North Dakota plays in is like $125 million building or something.
It's awesome. An NHL arena that size. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I've heard it incredibly nice. I haven't been there, Mike, so I'm looking forward to going there for one of these Frozen Fours. hopefully we're there together. Yeah. Oh
That would
God,
be
it'll be
sick.
fun.
Well, where do you fly in for that, Beard?
Fargo, right in.
Fargo's got an
Yeah,
international airport.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
do,
dude,
and you're 3 miles off campus.
Nice.
yeah. I mean, it ain't hard to get there.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, I live in Alaska, bro. Fly everywhere, so
Yeah,
I'm used to it.
No,
you
I
know,
know.
man. You know.
It's good. I'm stoked for Will Smith, to be honest. I think if he can get adjusted and acclimated at least to the pace and kind of the conditioning of the game, then I think he could slot in with Eklund, and then the younger guys there. And depending on what Celebrini does, I mean, it's just excitement too. It's hype. Sometimes you look at how they play, but also the hype. I mean, the hype is huge too, and you want to get these Sharks fans stoked. They also signed a new kid last week. This other kid from San Jose signed another one of their prospects.
It was a Russian kid, wasn't it?
Foreign kid, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
Red Army kid.
Yeah. So I mean, for the hype, I think it's great, and I think you got to get those fans excited.
They need something there, right? Obviously. Yeah. Pearlo, what you got? Any last thoughts on Will Smith, and then we're gonna call it a night. I just wanted to shout out one thing, but give us your thoughts on.
I mean, just because they signed him doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play in the NHL next year. I mean, they just signed
He
him.
could play in the AHL, right? And that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah, he'd go back and forth. They just saw. I mean, he put up great numbers in college, and they're giving him a reward for doing everything that they asked him to do. And maybe he does play in the NHL. He reminds me a lot of Miller in Vancouver. He reminds me a lot of him. That's he reminds me
Not
a lot.
personality wise, though.
Not personality wise, but on the ice, he reminds me a lot of him. But I mean, he's just a kid. He's got a lot of growth to do. You don't want to put too much pressure on a dude, but it's not a bad idea to give a kid a reward that did everything you asked of him to do in college, right? So whether or not he plays in the NHL next year doesn't really matter.
Short of winning the national championship, which that team should have done.
Yeah, I know, but that's a team thing. But as a player, I mean, he destroyed. He did everything.
Mike, did you get to watch him play a half dozen times live this year?
I saw BC 16 times this past season.
Okay, so that's fair to say that's more than half their games. Do you think he's ready for the pro game?
I hate to admit it, he is. I had preseason props. Yeah, I prop bet college hockey way too much. I had Guthrie winning the scoring title, and Smithy blew that for me. It was funny watching that game because I needed BC to win, and I celebrated. And then I saw Smith score the goal, and you see me just spike my phone off the ground because I'm like, yes, I just won, a couple $100, and I just lost it all too because he scoring title. I'm like, all right, I need Guthrie to score twice in 30 seconds. Start filling empty netters in, and I'm like, but he is ready. He's playing with top picks. He's playing against top picks. I actually just read an article. Him and Brini are already talking about jumping on a line together. So I think it's pretty much set in stone, despite Pandolfo saying he wants him to stay a year. They're already talking about line combos.
Hey, so you don't think that Smith and Celebrini both would play up the middle in the NHL?
So on the power play, not on regular, on the power play.
Yeah, they'll play together.
Split over to the wing, and you put Cutter on the wing, and you put Peralta in the center. I think Brini's going to stay in the middle, and you're going to slide Smith to his secondary position and put the two of them there. And if he's really ballsy, because Graf
we don't know who the new coach is going to be for San Jose.
Whoever the new coach is, if he's ballsy, Graf is a better face-off guy than Celebrini. You put Graf in between them. You'll have three rookies going at it. But, I mean, I like that line. I really do. I think you have two sprinters on the edge that can just score, and Graf can make anyone a superstar. He did it at Quinnipiac, and they had 3 draft picks, I think. I think it was sick.
When you think of Celebrini, think of Jonathan Toews.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was as equally gifted offensively as he was on the defensive side, but to see his game that mature at 17 years old,
his defensive game at 17 years old is way beyond his years. There's NHL players that couldn't even imagine being as good in all three zones and having an understanding of the defensive positioning in all three zones. There's NHL players that have been in the league forever that wouldn't even grasp.
Yeah, I love that comparison, Pearlo, Jonathan Taves. I think he's going to be a better offensive player than Jonathan Taves, and that's saying.
So,
yeah. My one fear with him is when he played Maine and played Providence College, playing against all of them have 6 drafted defensemen. In the beginning of the season, Celebrini didn't get up after a big body check. End of the season, he did. He grew up, and that's my fear with him next year when he goes to the NHL. Like, he's got to get up. So I'm actually his rookie season. I'm comparing him with Jordan Greenway, another BU guy. Like, really, really afraid of him.
Quick comment. Just talking about young kids getting hit. I don't know if you remember Luke Hughes.
Yes,
they were going after him. They were leveling that kid early, and if you got to keep your eye out for that. That's a good point, Mike.
But I'll tell you what, though, that'll age that kid quick. And he has some real fucking skill. And I think, watch out, man. So we didn't talk about this. Let's go right into it since Occupancy said it. The next coaching hire that we have to talk about before we call it a show, Sheldon Keefe, New Jersey Devils. I was surprised. I actually thought Berube would take the Jersey job. I thought that was the better job, to be honest with you. Toronto is a fucking nightmare. I would run screaming for that job. If they offered me that job, I would not take it. I'd be like, no, thank you. I'm good being a poor guy. But I liked Sheldon Keefe getting hired by. And so Toronto is off the hook. They don't have to pay Keefe the 2 years. So he doesn't get that money, but he keeps coaching. And he takes, I think, the best opportunity. Mike, let's start with you. What do you think about Keefe for Devils?
I had the Devils making the playoffs this year. I've got the Devils making the playoffs next year. I didn't think it mattered too much behind who they had behind the bench. That being said, I like him. You managed to survive the Toronto market. New Jersey is not nearly as hostile. I actually think he's going to be better because he'll actually have more freedom. I think Toronto handcuffs their coaches.
I agree.
I think they're not a wild card team next year. I think they slip into one of those, the 2 seed.
For the Metro, I could see it easily. Pearlo, why don't you go next?
Sorry.
Sheldon Keefe, New Jersey Devils.
Oh, Sheldon Keefe, yeah. Well, it really doesn't matter if you don't have a goaltender.
They gotta get that fixed for sure.
It's simple as that.
I agree.
Ruff probably didn't deserve to get fired. In fact, I would even
agree with that too.
I think that he kind of knew the Buffalo position was going to be open. He has a whole lot of family there and everything. I think he kind of whispered in the air and said, I wouldn't mind taking that position, and they kind of let him go. Keefe, I was very critical of him early on with Toronto and stuff, but honestly, after that O'Reilly incident, I actually had a fondness for Keefe. He sort of changed things around, and he started pushing his players around a little bit and challenging them and stuff like that. There's got to be something with him. I'm not going to pretend I know who's a great coach or who's not or whatever, but from what I understand, everybody thinks that Keefe is a brilliant mind who it's sort of like a young player that hasn't put the whole package together, but he's going to be one of the greatest coaches. So I've heard this from a lot of different areas of things that I've read, articles that I've read. Of course I listen to Sirius Radio, so I'll give him a chance here. And I mean, Fitzgerald is not a stupid man. So, maybe there's something there that we're not seeing. And now he gets to go into a market where he doesn't have to freaking deal with the media 6 times a day.
Yeah, there's no pressure there.
Yeah.
You have the Jesper Bratt Twitter.
Yeah. No, they're not asking him like a million questions. Like if you're Toronto and you're a coach, you got to do like 6 media episodes a day almost. Like it's constant all the time. Like it's very draining. And you got to remember, he was a rookie coach too. So
yeah, he did AIDS like very quickly. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Not
when
only
people
was he
say
a rookie
Frank's only
coach,
35, people are like, get the fuck out of here. Sheldon
only
Keefe
was he
is like
rookie-
35.
Yeah, and I admit I was off of Keith early, but he kind of grew on me, and I'm going to give him a chance there in New Jersey. Like a rookie coach having to deal with that Toronto media and all the shit that went on there. Maybe he didn't do as bad of a job as we thought he did. It's just a really tough task to be a coach. I mean, look at Paul Maurice. He was there when he was young. Didn't go well for him.
He's a great coach, man. I hope he gets a chance to win a Stanley Cup. I'm starting to think the longer this goes, he's not going to. Real quick, Occupancy, because we've been going an hour, and I want to be able to let the people listening to us watch the overtime without us blathering. Real quick, Occupancy, what do you think here about Keefe and the Devils, and we'll call it an evening.
For sure. I'll piggyback a little bit on what Pearlo and Mike were saying. I'm not going to pretend that I know Keefe, like his coaching, but if he's a brilliant mind and they have the personnel on offense where they can play as a team, they got a lot of guys from Europe. They got a lot of guys who are, from the same country. They wear the same national flag there. They got a lot of guys who are willing to play that team game, which I think is different than Toronto. I mean, you had the whole Matthews run for the goals and all this, and not saying they weren't playing a team game, but I think you could get New Jersey to buy in. However,
Speaking of which, did you guys see the Twitter post of Berube having coffee with Mitch Marner?
Yeah.
no. But
Something you would only see in fucking Toronto. Or any Canadian market for that matter, but Toronto for sure. But any Canadian market, you'd see that, especially if there's strife. And I just think they're going to not trade him and make a mistake, And I'm not saying Marner is the problem there, but he hasn't done what they need him to do in the postseason. I think they need to just have the cap space. If they could get Marner and Tavares off their books and get some workable pieces back, I think they have the makings of a decent team there. Go ahead, Occupancy. I don't want to cut you off, but the overtime is about to start, so we are going to end the show right after you're done.
I think New Jersey has a tough time on the back end. I think their defense is thin. I think they have the worst goalies in the league. Kokkonen, Allen, and Vanacek are going to get shelled next year hard. They're
going to get a goalie. I mean, it'll be a complete utter failure if they don't get it.
But if they don't be fooled by those 3 goalies. Do not. Those guys are letting in 3 or 4 a game. They will get shelled, and they're going to have a tough time next year. I think New Jersey's going to be a tough. I don't know how well they'll do next year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I would just say I'm not ready to give up on Akira Schmid, but I don't disagree with you. All right, everybody, we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, Tuesday. I know few and far between in the summer, but appreciate everybody. We'll see you.